Hi friends, welcome back. If you've been following along, this is part 4 in our 5-part Sketch in Places Quickly series. If you're new here, if this is the first video you've seen in this particular series, then what we're aiming to do is 5 sketches of 5 different locations, 5 different scenes in around about 15 minutes or less. That's our aim at least. We don't always hit that target, but the idea is to get the mindset where we're letting go of detail, really simplifying things and getting a sketch down quickly as possible to capture the essence of a place. Now in this particular sketch, in this lesson, we're going to be looking at a cafe scene, so a cafe front. And if you've seen any of my colour pencil tutorials, you may well recognise this place. You'll be able to find the reference photograph for this one in the description below. And like I say, I'll link to all those other parts as well if you want to jump around and go to part 5 or part 3. Or if you're starting from fresh, definitely go to part 1 and work through in order. Remember, this series of lessons, like most of the videos that I put on the YouTube channel, are designed for you to follow along with. That's the way that you improve. And besides, it's just a lot more fun, isn't it, than sketching and drawing, rather than just listening to me drone on for 15 minutes. So go grab your pencil, go grab a sheet of paper, and let's make a start. Here's an authentic cafe front from Italy, and a scene like this is ideal for a quick sketch. The focal point is the doorway, and just look at how dark it is. It's basically jet black, so we've got some real nice strong contrast between the black of the windows, the white of the curtain tablecloth and the menus. Compositionally, this should work quite well with a vignette effect. So whereas the earlier lesson, the stone cabin and the steps, had areas of dark in the corners, we're going to keep the majority of the darks around the centre and then fade out around the edges. And whenever you've got something that's quite symmetrical as your focal point, and a doorway is very symmetrical, it works well when it's placed right in the centre of your canvas, your drawing paper. And that then lends itself well to this vignette effect. Target time for this one, let's say, is 20 minutes. So there might be a little bit more drawing out initially with a scene like this. There's lots of different objects in there, but I'm going to focus on drawing just the door first, then we'll render that, we'll put in the darks, and then we'll start adding some of these objects later on. So a good way to do this is, as we did with the lighthouse, find that centre point of the doorway. And you're probably going to find that it splits the frame of your picture, the picture frame, in two. So put that line in and split the picture in two, and then look at where the top leading edge is, and then look at where the bottom leading edge is, and that then makes it easier to get your door in. You're not drawing it too big, too wide, too high, too tall. So strengthen that top line there. So this is a dark shadow area. You get the sign in. I'm not going to worry about the bottom sort of an edge bottom here. There's the outer stonework of the door frame. And then I'm just going to put, that looks like a menu in the window, I'm just going to put one in. Just going to simplify that slightly instead of putting the 3 in there. And then for the plants, so I'm just going to remind myself that there's something there, but we'll draw those in with value, so we'll draw those in negatively when we come to them. So that's all the drawing I'm going to do for now, and then I'm going to switch to a 5B I've got here, so I really want to get these darks in straight from the get-go. So this time now we can put a bottom edge in, give an impression of that, and then really quickly, let's get those darks in. So you've got this top window frame, as dark as you can go. And just check that your horizontals are, reasonably horizontal. You don't want to get them sloping to one side. Just take a little bit of time if you need to check that. Now for the window here, rather than doing this as one solid jet black, one flat value, there's a plant in the window, so there's a few bits and bobs that look like they're in there. Darker, typically darker in the corners, and then you can just lighten off darker back in this corner, and then just surround this white menu so there's a nice strong contrast, and that's going to stay as a white, completely white shape. Same for this one, nice and dark for the majority of it, but there's actually looks like some wine bottles in the bar in the background there. We don't need to go to that detail, but it's nice just to put in something that breaks up that one solid shape. There we go. And then we've got the windows down here. So we said, didn't we, that create these plants, or the impression of these plants, just by drawing negatively. So just putting some bits of dark value in between the shape, just having a look in the corners there. So looking for areas like this, little bits of value here and there. There's a bit in between there. And then our other real strong dark is this one up here. Okay, and then we can go to a slightly lighter pencil, a 2B, and start to look at the shadows that aren't quite as strong, but that are still nice and strong. So we've got a strong shadow under here. It's not as dark as this one. And what that does do is it helps to define that this shape is protruding compared to the windows, which are recessed. So we can put in and then just toning back the value of the actual door frame itself. Diagonal marks just helps to break up the mark making a little bit, adds a bit of style to an otherwise very loose and quick drawing. Taking a little bit of time around here just to get this nice detailing on the panel. It's worth spending a little bit of time on a detail like this on the focal point. And then if you want to bring the darks up in any areas, it's typically around corners and the bottom of corners of doors, bottoms of doors, that kind of thing, you just go back in with your 4 or 5B, the heaviest pencil that you've got available. So we've got some shadow around here. Again, it's a great way to almost highlight and vignette what is a real strong focal point within the drawing. And then let's just put a bit of texture on this, just to break this shape up. Make it look like a pattern of some kind. We're certainly not spending any amount of time on it. So just varying the marks here, so small up and down vertical marks. And the reason for that is because it's a different material to the wood, it's just a subtle way of showing that it's a different material and that the viewer is looking at something different to the wooden door frame. put these plant pots in if we want. So just a simple shape, and then just notice which is the shadow side. So it's this side on this one, it's actually on both sides, and then the light is down the middle. That's all it needs. And then if you want to put some kind of an impression of a plant in, you can do, spilling over the top. So now that we've done the focal point, or the majority of the focal point, we can start to just pick out and describe some of the details working from the inside to the outside. So on the outside here, I can add just a few indications of brickwork, large stones that make up the wall, maybe little bits of texture that just help to define the focal point again. So we've got some texture here, and it's useful to help me actually define the left-hand side of the frame of the door. If you see any dark bricks, you can put some dark bricks in, because again, that helps to define things, define those edges. A bit of shadow on this side and this side. And then any of the details that you want to put in, you can do, but be selective. So I like these lights. I'm going to put these in, but just very simply. So very simple shape. I have to spend any time on them, otherwise they're going to look too contrived, too neat, and out of context to the rest of the drawing. Put this thing in here, this shape or emblem, whatever it is. And I'm going to put this sign in. So if you want to, you can erase an area. Probably don't need to because it is darker. But just have a look where the base is first. Put that in. Really all you need to do is just get the size right. There we go. So this is a dark shape, so I'm going to do this as dark. And I'm just going to leave a little bit of an area at the top, just to make it look as though there's some white whiting on there. And again, working your way out. So we've got this table here, but this is now on the outer edge. So I'm not going to do anything more than just a simple outline for this table. So you've got the bottom of the tablecloth, and then if you need to, just observe the angles, because you don't want things out of perspective, even though they're in the background. That's where they should stay. And if you get the perspective wrong, it's going to bring them to the foreground, because they look so inaccurate and out of place. There's a bit of a bottle on there, a bit of a plant. And then let's get this chair in. So ground level is there. Front edge of the chair. And then we can get this barrel in as well. And then I am going to add some values and some tones, again, just around this area, gradually fading out. But because I think this is going to look better as a vignette, I want to just get rid of this frame. I think that's too restrictive. I think that's going to really negatively impact the overall look and feel of this drawing. And then back to a 2B pencil. So just start working your way from the inside out and just pick out any dark values. So underneath the table, around this area is nice and dark. So we can go nice and dark in there. You can actually draw in the table legs negatively with the dark value. Under the chair, look how dark it is under there. I think that's going to be a good one to get in. Some nice dark shadow under here. And between these two banners, let's just put a bit of something just around the edges. So really loose, really almost quite sloppy on the outer edges. And then to finish off, let's put the name in. So this is really going to emphasize and bring our attention to the focal point. Don't want to get too careless with this. You don't want to get your letter spacing all completely out of whack. And the way that you do that is just look for the middle letter. So it's this T. There's 4 letters either side of it. That's right in the middle of the door frame. So we can put that over the middle of the door frame. We've got this line above it. So let's just put that in. It's just going to help to emphasize things even further. That's a slightly different value. So the middle letter T, this is just a 2B pencil. And don't worry about making the letters too fancy at first, the sort of the serif accents on each of the letters. Just get the basic letters in to begin with, and then you can come back and sort of stylize them and neaten them up later on. And then I'm going to work backwards this way, so don't be tempted to work from the start and work inwards. So there we go, not the neatest of lettering, not exactly central. You might want to spend a little bit more time than I have. For a sketch like this though, it really doesn't matter. Have a go with this one. Urban scenes are tailor-made for quick sketching and getting the focal point down, getting the details down, and then moving on. You've got it's a great record in your sketchbook that you might want to take or do a painting from later on, particularly if you take some nice reference photographs to accompany it. So when you've had a go at that one and you've done it a few times, come back and join me in the final scene.